Right. Thank you so much, Kazam. Hey all, a very warm welcome to this Azure DevOps webinar, Tech Walk on Azure DevOps. I hope I'm audible, right? Can you just give me a quick acknowledgement if you can see my screen and
Yes,
if
yes.
I'm putting my voice? Yep, all right. Thank you
That's
very
fine.
much, Kazam. Yeah, I've requested all your participants to be on mute, and in case if you have any questions, the Q&A panel will be lined up for the last 20 minutes, 15 to 20 minutes, right? So you can just keep a note of your questions, or you can even put it on the chat. We can respond for it eventually. And please be on mute. In case if you would like to keep some questions to be posted, you have an option where you can raise your hand. Please keep your hands to be raised, and either me or Kazim will allow you to be on unmute, and then you can go ahead with your questions. Okay, just to make sure that it will not bother others on the background noise. And yes, coming back to this, it's going to be a boot camp. It's going to be a learning session, which starts from the basics. It starts from why DevOps, why Azure DevOps, and how to work with different pipelines and the factors that we have in Azure DevOps. And we will be speaking up to the top level of getting your availability, getting your pipelines, getting your own artifacts to be planned. Okay, so those things will be lined up with this Azure DevOps session. I thank very much to the DearAzure and the AzureNinjas team for taking steps to be lined up with all these things. And I'm, of course, Feroz Khan. I hope you guys know me. I have sent the invite. I have been in touch with the team's channel as well. So I'm a Microsoft MVP and MCT on Azure as well. And yes, I'm the founder and CEO of CodeSizzler, a Microsoft Meta partner and Microsoft Silver partner as well on Azure application development. We take care of migrations. We do data and infra level of migrations. We take care of AI projects and IoT projects for Microsoft partners like Boeing, Emirates, or Wipro, all these guys. And we do have a service which is said to be the learning service of CodeSizzler, where we do certifications training. We take care of trainings with exams, like you get a years and level of experience where you can take some sample exam. I'm sorry. Excuse me, please be on mute. So that's about me. And with this, let me take on towards the first session, right? I assume that we have mixed level of audience. It's not a training session, but it's going to be like a boot camp. So I cannot set a networking here. Of course, we have teams, we have channels where we can do networking. We can get to know about each other, and we can keep our discussions to be continued on the channels and teams that we have. I'm very sorry that I am not able to do the networking session here. As it's going to be like just 1.5 hours, and it's a very late night for Indians, especially on the weekend. So I would like to just stick on with the air on the topic that we have. So it's going to be design your ARM template for Azure Infrastructure using Azure DevOps. So we'll be speaking about how a developer can design the infra environment using ARM templates and how the automation scripts can be managed using Azure DevOps environment. And here is going to be the further sessions. We'll be having the next weekend, Saturday, 9 p.m. as per Indian Standard Time, where we are going to speak about AKS, right? Your containers environment on Azure. We are also going to speak about having your infrastructure control and having a compliance planning with security strategies on Azure DevOps environment by 29th August. And provisioning Azure resources is going to be like how you're going to provision, let's say, artifacts, how you're going to provision your extensions that you have, doing automation with Chef and Puppet management, right? So those things will be covered on session 4. And finally, the session 5 is going to be about the configurations that you manage for Azure virtual machines. So this bootcamp, this tech walk on Azure DevOps is completely planned for infra to be taken care by the developers. And that's how we are going to work out across. Today's session will be a beginner's session. It's going to be a level 100 session that we have, and we'll be having further sessions, which is going to be like level 200, level 300. And I would request you people to be on pipelines, right? I want the same folks to be joining for the further sessions as well, so that we'll be having a continuation on the learning series. So today's takeaway is going to be about the DevOps story. We are going to speak about what the Microsoft DevOps is about, why we need Azure DevOps, and how your ARM architecture looks like, how we are going to use the ARM templates, and then implementing the source control as well. DevOps is said to be a long time story, right? Microsoft has been working for a long time where they come across the partners, right? The service sector partners and the product sector partners as well, who had been working with a separate team for development, and we do have a separate team who takes care of the operations, testing, config management that we do. Okay, so the problem that we had in the traditional days that we used to work on, I cannot say it's going to be long back, but it might be like a duration of 8 years back or 7 years back, where we can say that the developers need to work and they need to wait for the next phase of development to move on, right? To get the projects to be moved on until the testing department or until the operations team gives them a flag, a green flag to say that they can move for the next step. So this is said to be a long time hurdle, which was always said to be finger crossed on a DevOps environment. And what Microsoft planned is that they don't want a wall in between to have a development and the operations team to be separated as such. They don't want to pass the strategical planning for each and every operations for each and every team to ask a planner with the operations team and then move to the next phase. That was said to be something complicated where the project takes a long time, right? The planning that you're going to do is said to be a long time for you when you depend on the operation team. Think about what if the development team is like you have three models of development team, right? And you cannot say that all the three guys, let's say 3x7 or something, the number of people has to wait for a flag to be given from the operations team as such. So this was something where the wall of confusion was broken by Microsoft, where they said that there'll be no more separate development and operations team. We are going to come up with one brand, and that's called as DevOps, right? And I come across many people asking me, "What is DevOps? What is DevOps?" Right? DevOps, come on, DevOps is like J, right? Excuse me. Let's not be subtle for others. Please be on mute. This is going to be a recorded session as well, and let's not give a botherness for others. Maybe others would be watching the recorded sessions as well. Let's not have the background noise. It will be a hurdle for others, please. Thank you. So here, DevOps is like, it's going to be like an elephant, right? It's going to be huge. It's going to be like giant. It takes care right from the start of project planning, right? You speak about the project sales. You be on a POC. You're going to be on a pilot project, and you need to plan about how the project is going to move on. So this is something where DevOps starts from planning, from the boards, right? It might be Kanban boards or it might be any boards that you're going to manage the workloads. And Microsoft takes it hand by hand, speaking about from where you're going to call the code. We have two main sources that we use normally. One is GitHub that we do. The other one is that we will be using VSTS, right? We used to go with Visual Studio Team Services. So you need to call your source control. You need to have a repo where you will be having the source control. And you also need to say when you're going to do the commit operations. Are you going to give the commit operations immediately, or it's going to be like you build, you need to perform a test operation, and then you will do the commit as such. So this is something that you need to take care. And the next is like you have to call the code from third-party environments. What in case if it's going to be like a data factory? What if it's going to be like a huge amount of data that's going to be intaken as such, right? In that case, again, Microsoft asks you saying that establish a pipeline, call the data. It can be even at a hybrid cloud environment. It can be at an on-premise, or it can be on a third-party cloud. Let's say you're going to call it from Salesforce or something, right? So you have to establish pipelines where the pipelines can help you on calling the data. So that's the other point that we have. And then finally, you're going to have the artifacts. You're going to call the extensions, which can work for adding up your third-party sources that you have. So this, as an overall, we call it as DevOps. DevOps is something where you're going to have the development and operations team to be collaborator. You're going to call the code. We are going to invite all sort of developers. It's when you speak about cloud, it's not that we'll be having an infra team separately as such, right? You people, let's say if you're a developer, you're an Angular developer, or you're a .NET developer who is going to develop some applications on cloud, you still have a mandatory need to understand about how the infrastructure is going to work. So infra is going to be taken care by the developers over the code environment. You're going to give the ARM templates. You're going to give up the Azure Resource Manager templates, or you can even code with your own environment, any platform that you have, which is going to help you out on taking care of the infrastructure. And on top of it, you're going to make it as automated. You will keep the things to be automated, like each and every build and the commit operations that you're going to do. It's going to reflect on the Azure environment, or it can be any environment that you have. And you're going to switch the features. It can be of any mode of operations that you have, and you're going to give up deployments as well. It can be a small deployment, or it can be even like a spinning of environments. Like think about VM scale set, think about containers, right? So that can be even at a huge level. And especially for the operations, you're going to use Kanban. So all these things are going to be managed with three major phases, which Microsoft gives you across. We say people. People is nothing but the different teams. Like let's say we are like hundreds of folks in a project, and we need 20 to be on front end development. We need 20 to be at the back end development. The other 20 is going to work on automation. The other 20 is going to work on testing, operations, taking care of infra. Okay, so different sort of people with different teams can be invited here. So that's said to be people. Different teams are reflected as people over here on the DevOps environment. Process is that you're going to give the instructions about what has to be done and when the project has to be completed as such. You set a deadline. You say that spinning of the infra, let's say spinning up the tools that you need for development has to be done by the day. So that's called as process. You're going to allocate it. And finally, you have products. Products is that you have Visual Studio Team Services, you have Git, you have virtual machines, or what are the other tools? Are you going to use Visual Studio Online, or you're going to use Visual Studio Code? So representing these things are called as the DevOps. The three stage of conversation is going to happen between people, what process they're going to do, and what products they're going to use as such. So this is a overall is said to be the complete DevOps environment. And when you speak in detail about these three conversations, it's going to be very huge that you have. The very first sort of thing is said to be the DevOps management, where the IT decision makers set a goal about what you're going to do on a particular project, what is going to be the infrastructure. Let's say architects also get involved into it. They set a timeline about when the project has to be closed, when the phase deliveries has to be completed as such. So that's said to be the very first thing that you have. The second sort of things is where you give it to the hands of the developers. You say that you need to develop all these things. And then next you get the support of IT operations team. If you want to do some infra scaling, or if you want to take up the infrastructure costing that you have, you speak to the business team saying that this is going to be the recurring cost that you have for each and every month that you have. You also need to come across with the collaboration. You need to block certain users saying that they will not get into the development phase that you have. So that's all as as a overall, you're going to get the efficiency on managing the three phases that we have. DevOps has very huge benefits. DevOps helps you to do the automation with shift management, with puppet management, to take care of the entire IT performance with a few failures that you have, where the tools is going to manage the infrastructure. Code is no more going to be complicated. You're going to use Visual Studio, and I'm speaking about code which is set away from the ARM template. Okay, I'm not speaking on the development phase that you have, but I'm speaking about the infrastructure's code environment. The entire infra that you're going to spin up will be given as a template by Visual Studio. Or by any ways, you can even select a blank template. You can say that I need to add a VNet. I can say that I need to add a storage account. So those things can be configured at ease. Wrapping up the things, DevOps has been split into three levels. The very first level is where you invite people. You invite the process people, and you say what process has to be done. You also set a business value about what's the costing for the project. Okay, so those things can be done on something called as boards. I repeat, it's going to be done with boards and in the organization level. And the second is said to be level 200, where you're going to write the code, you're going to do the integrations from the code environment that you have. The next is deployment, level 300, doing automations, calling your source, which can be from VSTS or from Git, setting up the team environments. Okay, so that's set to be the level 300. Here is the list of DevOps practices which we normally go across. We stick towards a DevOps environment when we speak about infrastructure, when we speak about testing has to be done. Okay, think about Sonar, right? You go with Chef, you go with Puppet. Okay, so in all those cases, we stick towards the DevOps environment. And the most probably use the tools and products are supported by Azure DevOps environment. You speak about Eclipse, right, on Android development, or you speak about any NetBeans, or you speak about Jenkins, right? You speak about any other platforms. It might be development tools like SDKs, or it might be collaboration tools that you have. All these things are supported by Microsoft. And there's a major difference that you need to understand where you're going to host the project as such. Is it going to run on Azure or it's going to run on the Azure stack as such? The environment can be anywhere. It can be on a Windows server or it can be in a Linux server. You have the stability to select about in which operating system the environment is going to run as such. The cloud infrastructure will be provided by Microsoft itself when you're using Azure, and you can customize it. You can say either you're going to use Hyper-V or you're going to use any sort of infrastructure that's going to be powered by Azure or any third party. That's possibility that you get on an Azure Stack environment. Azure Stack is nothing but you're going to have your own sort of data centers. You're going to purchase it from Microsoft. The tools will be provided by Microsoft, provided you're going to have it at your own location. So the data center location is going to be yours. Okay, you can have it at your office. I would say that people like PayPal, people like the Visa cards, Mastercards, right? All these guys use Azure Stack environment. And at top of this, we also go up with the open source tools, the third-party open source tools like WordPress, app frameworks, applications that you have, any management tools that you're going to call, okay, any databases that you're going to come up across. We have plenty of support that you get from the Azure DevOps environment. And as I said earlier, we also get the VSTS support, you get the Team Foundation Server support, you get the flexibility to work with hybrid cloud environments. DevOps is, Agile is one main reason why we stick towards DevOps, right? You make things to be more and more flexible. You make it to be enabled with the automation steps, and that's why we go with the DevOps environment. You can support the tools, you can support the tools and technologies where it's officially supported by Microsoft, or you can even have your own tools to be hosted. Okay, you can host your own tools at the Azure Enterprise portal. You can invite people to use it across, and ideally we have all these customers. We have support for GitHub, we have Chef, we have Puppet. We have more than Fortune 500 companies who are working on the Azure DevOps environment where they have used to host their workloads that we have. And yes, of course, we have the resource. You need to allocate the resource on the Azure environment, and you have to make sense that the resource will be available as such. You can get this slide, right? I have given a few links about the DevOps practices and tools that you need to know. The DevOps dimensions that you can work. Okay, we have few recordings where Microsoft has presented on the Ignite, Microsoft has presented on the channel line environment. You can find all these things to be available from our teams. Okay, and teams will be giving you the slides, will be sharing the slides. So please be active on the teams. It will be working as a forum. You can keep your questions to be posted over there. We have DevOps demo generator as well, which is provided by Microsoft. You can get sample solution files to make sense about how you can work on the DevOps environment. And finally, we are going to break the wall of confusion between the development and the operations team. We are going to have one stand which is said to be DevOps. So all these people can join. They are going to build the operations in the DevOps team is going to build it. They're going to give the code to be available on the Git, and the commit is going to happen at any time. So that's where we go with DevOps. So Microsoft established their own platform, which we called it as Azure DevOps. And these are the major facts that you need to know about the Azure DevOps environment. I told you that DevOps starts from the planning, right? It starts from the very scratch level that you're going to say that it's planning and up to the delivery that you're going to come up across. And I also told you that any sort of tools, right? It can be open source tools or it can be any sort of tools. Of course, DevOps itself as a baseline, it's going to run on the open source environment. So all these tools are available with Microsoft. They support you for the open source tools. You can even put an invite asking about any third-party tools that can be supported as such. Microsoft can always work. They have an open source community where they can work on collaborating the third-party tools after testing. So these are the basic things that you need to understand. Boards is where you're going to track, you're going to discuss the work that you're going to work. Okay, you have the tools to plan, and you're going to make it to be even more faster on delivering the plans. Let's say I will say the phase-wise deliveries are going to be on a deadlines that you're going to set across. So this can be done on boards. You can invite team, you can set the organization to work with different teams that you have. So that's it to be Azure boards. The next comes pipelines. Pipelines is the main scratch level which helps you for CI and CD operations. I repeat, for your continuous integration that you do and the deliveries that you're going to commit. So pipelines is nothing but, say for example, you're going to have your code on GitHub. You're going to work from Visual Studio at your local machine. You have connected the source control towards a GitHub, okay? And you're going to say that you have done some changes on the code, and you need to make sure that the code gets reflected on the cloud environment as such. So for that, we need pipelines. You need to establish the pipelines. You have to move for repos. Repos where you're going to give the source control, okay? You have to establish a pipeline. You need to say from where things should be done as such. And is it going to work immediately, or it will be working after a testing operation from the operations team as such? You can also write test plans. You can write different test plans saying about the a white line discussion, right? You can do the black box testing. Okay, you can integrate testing tools as well over here. So that's said to be the test plans that we have. You can do manual testing, and you can also do automated testings over here. Artifacts is where you're going to check the packages. You're going to create, you're going to host, and you're going to share the packages with the teams of the packages. Okay, hosting the CI and CD environments. Artifacts is normally for third parties. And finally, we have the extensions. Extensions is where you're going to access the extension for the apps, for the third-party apps, I could say. Okay, and that's where we have the extensions and services. This learning session, I mean the entire tech walk on Azure DevOps is going to help you out on discussing about your labs. Okay, we will work on the lab environments as well. So I would request you people to have a DevOps account. Probably you can check this recording and you can make sense about working on this later. Okay, you need to have a DevOps account. You need to sign up for a free account. And you have the DevOps demo generator. I will show you that, and you can start working on the DevOps environment. Okay, people who are new to it. So with this, let me get on towards the DevOps portal. I'll show you how the DevOps environment is going to be. I'll speak about the scratch level, the basics, and then I will go for the top level, working on the DevOps environment. Okay, today's takeaway, as I discussed earlier, we're going to speak on ARM. I hope you people know about ARM, right? Azure Resource Manager. Any infrastructure that you're going to plan will be having a template design at the back end, which is going to be developed by Microsoft by default. So if you're using Azure Portal, if you're spinning up a virtual machine, you will be having a ARM template, which will be developed at the back end. Okay, so that's done by Microsoft. Ideally, as a developer, you need to know about how it can be developed as such, and that's what we call it as infrastructure as a code. So infra as a code is nothing but it's going to help you out where the developers can write the code to host the infrastructure environment. And today's demo, we are going to work on just a base level about how an environment like let's say any component for a virtual machine can be developed as such. The series, I mean, as I said earlier, see this tech walk series session is going to work on infra control. We are going to speak about containers. We are going to speak about virtual machines for all these tech walk series that we have. So you need to know about what are the baseline of components that we need for containers and for virtual machines as well. So let me highlight, right? For VM, you need, of course, a virtual network. That's a very basic thing that you need. Inside a VNet, you'll be having subnets. You will say subnet 0, subnet 1. Let me say a separate subnet for a front end and separate subnet for a back end that you have. And you do have the storage account where we say it as a disk, right? You have solid state disk and you have a hard disk drive as well. So you have those two different kinds of disks, and at top of it, we do have this OS, right? You're going to say it's going to be Windows Server or it's going to be a Linux server. Customized images like you have Visual Studio with Windows Server. Okay, you will give those things. And top of it, we do have the components like you're going to give up the third-party tools, extensions that you need, okay, availability sets to make sure that the application will be always available to the customers. So these are key major things that you need to know. And that's the same on the container as well. These are the components that's going to be common for the container environment as well. Okay. So let's take in further. I will go to the DevOps portal here. Okay. Probably I'll see if you have any questions until this. Let's make it to be a bit interactive. Uh, can we get recording of this session? Yes, of course, you'll be getting it. We have Mr. Kazim, who is the lead of DearAzure, and he'll be taking care of the things. He will make sure that he will make the teams to be active on sharing the recording links. Okay. And hi, Rajesh. Okay. Hi, Amar. Azure DevOps can replace all open source tools. I cannot stand with a statement saying that it can replace all the open source tools as such, because Microsoft is now supporting open source as well. So the motive of Microsoft on Azure DevOps environment is not to replace the open source tools, but they need the collaboration to work with the open source tool as such. So I could make your question to be modified in other ways, saying that it cannot replace the open source tools, but it can support, it can collaborate the contributions with the open source tool environments. Well, any other questions?
Yes, I have one question.
Yeah.
Actually, if you see in the market, you have a lot of DevOps tools available, Ansible or what you name. Azure DevOps doesn't stand at par to these products, right? Now, what is the reason and where it is lacking, or is so? If you can just put some highlight on that, that will also help us to understand. Okay.
It's not that Microsoft is not in the market of Ansible or it's not in the market of supporting Jenkins or something like that. It's there available. You have the Ansible which we support with the DevOps environment as well. You have a suite of models which can interact with the ARM templates that we have been and developed. So I don't see that. In fact, we even get the support that you get the API management. You have Azure's API management where they help you to go with automating the code that you're going to do. Either it's related to infrastructure or it's related to testing or anything as such. So there is a support. There's a support. Since you highlighted Ansible, I could say that there is a support for Ansible. There's a support for any other platforms that you speak as well. Let's say Jenkins or anything that you have. So I don't see that the market rate is set to be less. Ideally, the market is really huge when you compare it towards even the AWS environment. The support that you have for Azure DevOps on the customer rating is set to be really high, and that's where we lead up across. So I won't say that the market rate or the business rate is set to be less for Azure DevOps. Probably you can get more sense. Keep this to be posted on the forum, please. I will give you some links where you can make sense about how Azure DevOps is supported with the open source tools like Ansible. And of course, Yeah, go ahead, please.
Abdul, I have a question similar to that, but some when we go to the internet, like any other site like Udemy or all these things. So all the courses available for AWS, but for example, Ansible on AWS, Docker Kubernetes on AWS, Terraform on AWS, but no means minimalistic courses are available that are also very initial level. So means how can we take a deep like project assignments or how these things like because no courses are available as per the Ansible, Terraform, Docker, Kubernetes are concerned, which related to Azure DevOps.
Okay. Probably speaking on a community point of view, we can take up your inputs where we can speak with Microsoft being MVP to make sense that we need more amount of blogs, pilot projects to be done on the requirement that you mentioned as such. But still, I'm not sure if you have seen these things. There's something called as Azure DevOps Labs. Have you ever come across this? Because we have Terraform, we have Ansible projects which are available here. Any pipelines, automations that you do know, all these things are available here, and this can help you out. See, for containers, we have it. Yeah, any even the third parties that you speak from the testing point of view, like Selenium or anything, we have entire projects which are available here. So this is something which you can make sense about. I will share. I will probably give you. I have it on the slide. Okay, I'm gonna share the slides as well. I'll give you this. You can make sense with this sort of link. And at top of it, still, if you're looking for some support, please feel free to write it on the Teams environment. We will take it to the notice of Microsoft, and even we can plan sessions lining up over here. Okay.
Abdul, I have one question.
Yeah.
So in Azure DevOps, right, like what kind of set of tools can be integrated by default? I know there is a Visual Studio and GitHub where you can set up the build and deployment pipeline. Can we integrate any other tools that you haven't covered, like in general? Is that something where we can integrate the configuration management tools or any other automation tools?
Config management tools, which I told you, like we mostly, I work with customers, probably airline customers like Boeing, Emirates, all these people, where we are using Ansible, of course. We use, I mean, since you said config management, we use Chef a lot, we use Puppet a lot. Okay, so those things are available, which can help you out. And to take monitoring, right, about on all these tools, we can use Azure monitors as well. There's a service called Azure Monitor. So yes, management tools, which is said to be open source, which, or even from the hands of Microsoft, are said to be available with Azure DevOps environment.
Cool.
Yeah. And hi, and there's a question from Amar. Let me complete it, and then I will stick to yours, please. Hi Amar, how about Terraform? Is it needed with Azure DevOps? I will say that Terraform is said to be a big heads up for Azure DevOps environment, and especially the topic which we are speaking here, right? To make your commit operations or to make your infrastructure code operations, we need Terraform for sure. And Terraform is supported for any sort of CI and CD pipelines that we have in Azure DevOps. We have Terraform here. Yeah, please go ahead. You had some other question.
Yes. So, I mean, what I understood is like most of the .NET platform, they come up with an Azure DevOps infrastructure. Does like the config management plays nice for the Windows platform, like, you know, either Chef or Puppet or Ansible? How does that play in a Windows environment? I've been working on the Linux, but I'm just curious to ask this question.
By default, we get a good support even with Chef. I have one sort of workload which is running on the Chef as well. So people, since they have stick towards Chef and Puppet for a long time, they don't prefer for any sort of tools that comes across with Microsoft as such. So that's the reason I said one of the questions which we had was about, is it open source tools are going to be replaced by Microsoft Azure DevOps as such? No, ideally not. Still, we have a support with Chef. We have more amount of open source contributions from Chef and Puppet. So we always stick towards automation tools, right? Management tools with Chef and Puppet compared towards any other Azure research. And I'm speaking from business values point. But if you're asking for any predefined supports that you get on a stack from Microsoft Azure, and yes, we do have the tools like Terraform itself. Terraform is under the control of Microsoft now. It's bought by Microsoft now. and they have the standardized way of deployment for any sort of management, automation management that you do.
Cool, thank you.
All right. Any other questions?
Hi, I have one question here.
Okay, I'm sorry to interrupt. Let's make sure that this is going to be the final question, right? And I'll stick towards the demo that we have. And once when we complete it, we will come back again to the Q&A panel. Okay, yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah. So speaking about different type of services provided in Azure DevOps like Jenkins, Puppet, Chef, Ansible. So are they like native services as we get when we use natively these tools from these tool providers? Like the same way we can utilize in Azure as well natively. They're like part of as a service option.
Yeah. What actually happens here is that let's say if you're going to spin up, if you're going to call the virtual machines inside Puppet, right? Microsoft will collaborate the Puppet management. They give up the pipelines to be established with Puppet, and it runs on Azure. But at the back end, what happens is that once after you spin up, you need to go for the Puppet portal only. So let's say if you want to manage the availability sets, or if you want to manage the availability zones that you have, let's say that you're going to have some service fabric applications like stateless or server or stateful applications that you have. In those cases, again, you need to stick towards the Puppet portal or the Chef portal. Provided running the environment alone will be on Azure. So Microsoft's responsibility is to ensure that the data that will be available to the customers on Azure. Other than the features or the support that you have, no, it's going to be just the same of what you have in the Chef. They are going to give you a hand, that's it. They are going to provide availability for your application, that's it, Azure. Other than that, it's going to be collaboration, nothing more than that.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Hi, Amar. How about, Ansible, Chef, Puppet, Salt, which one is best config management tool? To be frank, Amar, I just have a add level of experience on Salt, but I have a very good experience on Chef and Puppet compared to the Ansible. So I will give my thumbs up for Chef and Puppet. And support is said to be moreover the same. Like I just know I answered it, right? Someone was asking about. You get the integration support, that's it. Apart from that, Microsoft is not going to provide you any special features of update or anything. You get the same sort of features even if you're running it on third-party services. Well, okay. Thanks for all your questions. Thank you so much for making it to be much interactive. And here, move towards few important links that you need to know. So I'll go for Azure, right? Let's take up notes. So here, I would say, let's go for a new note. Yes. So Azure DevOps Cakewalk. Right. AzureNinjas and DearAzure. So the base thing that you need to understand here is that you need to know about how this is going to work. Okay. See, the Azure DevOps environment as a base level, it's going to work out on the portal, okay, and we access it using dev.azure.com. You can access Azure DevOps environment with free of cost. Okay, you don't have a costing here, and you need to have Azure Pass for sure. Okay, please have make sure that you have an Azure Pass or you activate a free trial Azure account. Okay, to work on it. And inside this Azure DevOps environment, I told you, right, you have team, you have boards, you have repos, you have pipelines, you also have the artifacts, right? So these, you have one more, these are the basic things that you need to make sense on the DevOps environment. And at top of it, we also have organization and projects. So you have organization and you have projects which you can create. You can say either it's going to be a public project or it's going to be a private one. You can invite people based on the teams over here. So let me go with the Azure DevOps environment. See, this is how my DevOps environment looks like. I can probably work with a private window. I will show you from the scratch. Where's mine? Yeah. So let's say dev.azure.com. And here I will sign into the Azure DevOps environment. So these are the things which I told you. You have test plans, you have boards, pipelines, okay, all these things. Let's sign into Azure DevOps. And I can sign in with the account here. You need to have a Microsoft account to work on it. There we go. All right. So this is how it looks like. And what actually you used to get is that you need to create a new organization. You will be getting landed up on this page. They'll give you a welcome page saying that it's static.
Hello. Yeah, can't see the screen. Your screen is not shared.
I'm sorry. I hope you people are able to see my screen.
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Yes, we can see.
Okay, thank you. Yes, sir. All right. So I can click on continue here with the license agreement. Okay, and we can stick towards the DevOps organization which we're going to create. So here in my point, I can say it's going to be dev.azure.com, and that's a DevOps organization. So let's say Azure Ninjas Tech Walk. Okay. Well, so it's going to be Azure Ninjas Tech Walk, and this is going to be the data center location where I'm going to host it. So I can say, sorry. So I could say that this is the data center location where I'm going to host the project, and let's host it at South India here. And I'll click on continue to get it done. So it creates my organization, and inside the organization, I can create the projects. Can you find this? I have the organization now named as Azure Ninjas Tech Walk. And I'm going to use this same organization for all the 5 series of sessions that we have. Now you can create a project here. Let's say Tech Walk Session 1. Okay. And when I say public, anyone over the internet can view this project. You remember we had a HTTP REST URL, right? It was dev.azure.com/AzureNinjas Tech Walk. Okay. / you're going to give the project name now, Tech Walk Session 1. And that's going to be the project name which we are going to work. When I say private, I can invite people here. Okay, I can say that few people, like I told you, we have teams. Let's say myself and some 19 people are going to be front-end developers. We have another team who is going to be developers who is going to work on the back-end. And other team of developers, other team who is going to be testers. Okay, we can have those people over here. And this project will still have the role-based access where you can say even within the team, you don't want the code to be shared with other people as such. You can set the privacy policies. So let's say private, and I'll say create the project now. So your new project is getting created. Yeah, here is the overall thing. You have the Tech Walk Session 1, and my organization is Azure Ninjas Tech Walk. Inside that, I have the Tech Walk Session 1. And with this, can you find this invite? I can say invite, which I told you, I can invite people here. Let's say I will invite Mr. Cousin. So let's say DearAzure at CodeSizzler.info. So I can invite this user now. I can still say I will invite Feroz at CodeSizzler.info. This user. I can say Imtiaz at CodeSizzler.info. So this is all the points that we have. Okay, I'm inviting people here. Now when I say add here, we have only these 3 people who are going to join us. Well, so here you can find members. As of now, we have only 1 member who is said to be Mohammed Imtiaz. Failed. Why? Let me check details. More details. The project with ID clan does not exist. You do not have permission to add it. Okay, I'm not the admin for this account. Let's try with the Microsoft account probably here. Let's say developer.fero@outlook.com. I'll try adding this user. Success. Added one user. Okay. Now let me check my email account. Probably. I should have received an invite. Let me check. Okay. I will probably let you know. Okay. We'll be getting an invite from this DevOps environment. Okay. But then you can see that you'll be having members over here. So we need to accept and then we will get it added over here. And here is the project settings. This is all the basic things that you need to know. You will go with the project settings to add any sort of editing operations that you need. If you want to say any administrators, DevOps services, what all can be used. Okay, you can set the policies over here. And since Microsoft has bought GitHub, you can find GitHub connections. You can create a GitHub account and you can connect it over here. So if you're having the code with GitHub, no, we'll give up the establishment over here. And other than that, you have the test managements, okay, agent pools that you can add. So this is the overall settings, okay, your Azure DevOps settings that we have. Well, with this, let's go for the project. And I would say that I'm going to create I have created a project. I need this to be called from the Visual Studio environment. Okay, so I'm going to give infrastructure as code. Normally, what happens is that, see, I will stick to a Windows Server machine. I'll go to the Visual Studio. Yeah, this is my VM. What happens here is when I go to the Azure portal, let me log in. Can you find this? I have a VM here. And when you go for automation scripts, can you find this export template? You can find the ARM template here. See, this is the template which Microsoft generates for you. Okay, and this is called as infrastructure as a code. So you as a developer, if you're working on a DevOps environment, you need to develop this code. You need to develop this code and you have to establish a pipeline where you can commit it on the Azure DevOps environment. So here we will be working on, see, when I click on the resource group, let's go to the overview, and here in the resource group, you can find VNet, you can find public IP, network security group, all these things. No? Combining all these things, an ARM template has been defined now. Now in this demo, I mean for today's session, we will work on a simple level. Okay, we will work on a scratch level to make sense about how a VNet can be created from a developer environment, and how it can be committed, and how it can be built and commit using your Azure DevOps environment as such. Okay, so let's go up here with, I'll minimize this. See, I will go for my project which we created. Okay, this is, where is mine? Yeah, this is the one. And let's try refreshing once for dev.azure.com. Hey, come on. Can you find this Tech Walk session 1? This is the project which we created. And as I told you, boards will help you to create work items. You can create sprints saying that when the project has to be completed. Now we will go for repos. Okay, we need to call the code from any of a SDK, right? Any of a tool. So you go to repos, click here, and you can clone the code from your computer. So you have a different environment. You have it from open source tools, third parties. I told you Eclipse. You have Visual Studio, you have VS Code, everything. So now I will say I need to clone the code from Visual Studio, and let me click here. So here is the Visual Studio one. Can you find this? It's trying to connect. The Team Explorer is trying to connect for the DevOps environment, and it asks you to sign in. It's trying to connect. Okay, can you find this? See the URL which we gave, and it's trying to connect now. So let's say clone, and you can find the code here. It will be available on the Solution Explorer. So here you can find it's cloning the repository. Okay, it has done. You can find the project here now. Okay, so inside this project, I would say that I'm going to call, see the code is going to be available from the master. Okay. And when you click on the Team Explorer, you can find that the DevOps environment is here. Now, let's say I'm going to create a new project as a solution file. As of now, it's all empty, right? We don't have any sort of code. See, I will click on commit. You can find there'll be no code which is available here. So it's not showing you anything. Okay, and when you say branches, no, still you will not find anything here. And I can go to the pipelines. Again, you will not have anything over there as well. Okay, so that's the point that you have. Now I can go to the solution. I can say I will create a new project. Okay, see solutions, new project. And you can say I'm going to Azure resource group is nothing but the ARM template. Okay, so let's say Azure resource group. Let's click on create. It's going to create a new solution. And this is all the templates that we have. See, for creating Windows VM skill set or for a Linux or for Service Fabric, it's a blank template. I will show you. You no need to code. You can see how the templates and the parameters looks like on the Visual Studio environment. So let me say blank template and I will click on OK here. And the project gets created. So let's go Solution Explorer, and here you can find Azure deploy.parameters.json. And here is exactly where we used to add the files. Okay, see this JSON file is as of now it's empty. And this is where we will add the, I told you this demo is about VNet. I can add a virtual network over here. And in case if we need to establish a pipelines, no, you can say create pipeline. And you can establish the pipelines over here. This is to give a, see pipeline is nothing but you're going to give like connections. Okay, your code is available on repos, right? So you say Azure repos, you can select that. And there's no code until now which is available. So let's go up here. We have created it. We will say that it's going to commit. Okay. So Azure deploy.json. Let's open this. And see the code is empty. The JSON code is empty. Let's go to the resource and I'll say add a new resource. And let's go up here. Virtual network. Let's say VNet. And I'll add a VNet here. So for this demo, I'll say CodeSizzler VNet. Okay, and let's click on add. Can you find this? The code is added here. Now I can say that this has to be deployed. Okay, I will just say Control S. Okay, and this is set to be a VNet deployment. And what we can do is we can go to the Team Explorer. We can say that we need to do the commit operations. So now go to your solution file. You can say that this has to be committed. Let's go. We will say create a new project. I repeat, we have created a new project. We have gone for ARM. We have added a project which works with VNet over here. Okay. Now to commit this, can you find this? We have managed connections. I will click on connections and I can say clone this. You can find here, I repeat, it's clone. So clone is nothing but whatever the project, whatever the solution which I created here, this will be cloned, okay, towards your repo that is available on dev.azure.com/AzureNinjas TechWalk. So let's say clone, and it's gonna come in. It's asking for GitHub credentials. Let me do one thing. I will go with mine. Not sure. Let me check. Goodness. So this is from GitHub. Okay. If you have it from a third party, you can also say that let's call from the third party one as such. So that's over here. Okay. Okay, let's go up here and I would right click. So connect for this. And let it get committed. So this is the solution. We can go up for the demo. See, the code is available. Yeah, the code is available here. okay, and we are going to generate by commit operations. I'm just looking for the commit operation that we have here. Manage connections. What do we get there? GitHub, manage connections, connect to a project. No, see, it has been logged into a different account. So Mohammed, yes, okay. Can you find this? We have the project, take walk, session 1. So let's say connect for this.
Yeah, sorry for interruption. Sometimes your screen is not visible properly.
Is
Yes.
it?
Yes.
Yeah, actually, I think you have to dual display so that sometimes screen is not showing properly. I
Yeah,
think,
that's right.
yeah, that's right.
It's continuously visible to me.
Yeah, but we continuously showing the dual screen actually. The blank screen is showing moreover rather than your coding screen.
Yeah, I'm also facing the same issue.
Can you please disconnect and connect again?
Okay, I think
Just try it out that should work, because most of us are able to see the screen, so could be an connectivity issue. Just try it once. Just try to disconnect and connect again.
Yeah, I can see
Can you
properly.
disable your? Can you disable
You can
your?
see properly.
Okay, okay, no issue. If we have some problem, we can disconnect and reconnect rather than. Okay, thank you.
Abdul, I have one question. So you created organization and you created project. Now you created one solution and you clicked on clone. So that remote repository you created first, or it automatically get created if you will click on clone?
No, it will create a repo automatically. In your DevOps environment, when you create a project, you'll be having the repo which gets created automatically.
Okay, so when you click on clone, so that repository created on your Azure project as well?
Yes, you're right.
Okay.
It gets created over here.
Okay.
Yeah, all right. So we have done these things, and let's check. No, we will try deploying it. Where's mine? So I have taken the solution file. I have given the commit. Okay, the code is done here. Okay, so let's say, oh, not the GitHub one. I'm sorry. And dev.azure.com. Let's right click here, and you can say clone. Okay. Okay, come on. Get over here. And this is your local Git repo. I hope you can make sense. This is your local Git repo. And you have your cloud one here. So the tech walk session 1 has been cloned. Okay. Now let's try connecting. And see, this is the solution file that we have there. Let's try deploying it. Open. We have the template. Okay. You can go to the solution explorer, and now you can say deploy. See, deploy a new one. And we can create a new resource group. Let's take an account. And I'll create a new resource group. I'll say, I'm sorry. Yeah, let's say Azure. Okay, take walk DevOps resource group at South India Data Center. Okay, Southeast Asia. Let's click on create. And now, okay, let's say deploy. Okay, can you find this? Deployment is going on. The template is valid and the template deployment is going on. To establish this connection on the portal, you can just go, you can log into the Azure portal, and there you would be able to see the VNet which we created. Okay, just give me a moment. I'll try logging in. Get loaded. Go to resource groups. You can find, see, tech walk DevOps, and we have it here. Now, eventually, I can also create pipelines. I will go to pipeline, and I'll say create a pipeline. And see, we have the code on Azure repos. Okay, tech walk session 1. Let's select that. No matching repositories. let's say all versions. Why it is repo. Give me a moment. Let me check here. Work items settings. Okay, let's check. Since it's a VM now, we are getting a lot many challenges. Work items. Yeah, can you find this? The security is there and it has established the security. Build administrator, tech box session 1 teams. Okay, who is this? Developer.Fero and Mohammed Imtiaz. Okay, so this guy should be able to see it there. Sorry, I'll go on mute, please. Let's go to repo. File. Let's say commit. And you can say import a repo here. So the repo is from Git, okay, and you can give a link here. Let's say github.com. I hope you people are getting it. I showed you Git here in my Visual Studio. So when you see github.com, let's say CodeSizzler, I can have the code somewhere here. Okay, we can go to the repos. You can have the code here, and then you can call the code. Okay, so you will first create a repo, and then you will call the code here. You will have the master file. Make sense about these things. You have the master, okay, and that's the master branch which we have added up here. Now, any sort of commits that it happens, no, you can find here. See, 16 changes has been done. I can enter a message here. Let's say commit 1, okay, and I can say commit all. So commit changes is happening. Committed server locally. Okay, this has been done, and you can say sync to the server. You know which is a server, right? Your DevOps environment. So we have clicked on it and it gets changed. You can click on actions and you can find what changes were done. See incoming commits, you can fetch. And those things you can find it here in the DevOps environment. Let's say commits. And you can find the commits which have been happened over here. And when I click on the pipelines, you will find pipeline also over here. Okay, release, pipelines, all those things can be managed. So instead of managing it from the portal over here, from the DevOps, you can also do it from Visual Studio. So that's the takeaway. Okay, you're creating I repeat, you're creating a VNet. You're coming up with a solution explorer. You're just seeing here, you're committing the operations. Okay, and you're going to say, push all these things towards the branch that you have. So anytime you can sync, this is called build and commit. You're going to do it from your environment, from your Visual Studio environment. Okay, so this gets synchronized. And now when I go to the Azure portal, I can find the VNet. Let me go here. I can find, oh, not this one. I'll go to Imtiaz CodeSizzler at outlook.com. See, I have the VNet which has been created. I can also make any sort of changes. I can go move to the resource. I can say add a new resource. Let's say storage account. We can also keep that to be added up. So in case if I have added that, then again I will say sync and commit. It will get published. Is that okay? So this is how your infrastructure as a code is managed. Okay.
So Abdul, where did we? Can I ask a question, right?
Yeah, please.
Okay. So okay, I saw the code which we did and how it is, but where is the purpose of DevOps? When we talk majorly on creating pipeline, right? So from Visual Studio we have just synced up to our Azure DevOps, right? If I want to create a pipeline wherein I will do the stuff from Azure DevOps and that gets published. So this can be the scenario? Will this can be the scenario?
You're right. That's the right scenario where we are using this. Instead of using the pipelines, I showed you with the connections over here. You remember I tried connecting with a server. over here. Can you find this? Tech Walk session 1. So instead of this, your question is, you can also go up here to the pipelines. You can create a pipeline and you can see connected. Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
Yes, I hope you're getting it right.
Yeah. So actually, what my question was that should be the correct scenario when we work with Azure DevOps, right?
Yes, you're right. Yeah.
Okay.
See, you go to the classic editor, you will say I will create a repos. Okay. I don't want to make it to be like too much of complicated because it's a mixed group of audience. I'm not sure whether people have worked on DevOps, Azure DevOps or not. Okay. So this is other way, like you are done from Visual Studio. I hope everyone, I'm sorry. I hope everyone of them have. Can you go on mute, please?
Aló, buenas tardes, buenos días.
Yeah. So I hope. Hey, come on here. I assume everyone have worked on.
Speaking can go on mute because I'm getting so much noise. Just a request.
Okay. Well, so here you need to create a repo, okay, and you will say continue. See, we are going to create a repo here, and then you can say what you're going to create here as such. So in Visual Studio, I told you that it's going to be an empty, right, a blank template. The same can be done here. You can start with an empty job, and we can say this is going to be the job that you have. You can say a new one, and ARM template deployment. Can you find this ARM template deployment? I can say add. And here I can see what template deployment it's going to happen across. Let's say a new template.
We can't see you, Abdul. Where? Okay. Now.
Yeah.
So
here is the other way.
Actually, Abdul, see the problem.
Actually, yeah.
Abdul, see the problem is there is a too much of lag between your speaking and the screen refresh.
Yes, exactly.
That is something which, which is making us too difficult to follow both the things. I understand you won't be able to analyze, when you are speaking and how much the time screen is taking, but maybe if you can just adjust 1 or 2 seconds between the screen toggling and your speaking, I think we would be able to follow in a much better manner.
Definitely I will do it, Avinash. I will consider that. Okay, I will probably go a bit slow and I will also set a wrap up. But see, I don't think the problem is from my internet side because I have a bot here, a Teams bot app which we have added up. And if the internet frequency goes down, right, I get a bot opening up with the internet update as such. So
no intention to tell you, that is a problem. It may be the problem with at our end, but I believe at least 12 to 15% people are facing the same. So maybe a little adjustment from your side will be, rest of the people will also be able to follow. I do fairly agree with you. It's not a problem at your end. There are so many people who have connected across the globe, so these things happen.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, actually, the number of people has added, so that is affecting.
Do you want me to repeat any of the things?
No, you can continue what you are saying. So I am just relating what you showed in Visual Studio, and now I can see your Tech Walk session 1 on Azure DevOps, and from there you can continue.
Okay, so here we are at the Tech Walk session 1. Okay, I mean the project which we created. We have created a repo. The previously shown one was we were working from Visual Studio. We created a project here. We created a solution file, and from here we tried deploying it. That's said to be on a level 100. Okay, but when you work from DevOps, you have to create a pipeline. So I can show you from the basic. Like I don't want others to be disappointed. Like if you were not able to follow. So you need to come for pipelines. You have to say create pipeline. And here you need to say where the code is available. And you have two sort of view panel. Okay, you can say a classic editor, and this will allow you to select the source from repo. So we have a repo here named as TechWalk session 1. Can you find this? I'm going to click on continue. and I'll say that we are going to select empty job. So there it was blank template, and here it's going to be empty job. Okay, we will go with the empty job here, and we will say that I'm going to do an ARM template deployment. Let's add an agent job, and we can say ARM template deployment. Can you find this? ARM template deployment. And I'll click on it. So now let's click.
Abdul, one question. So, what I understand, correct me if I'm wrong. Generally, in CI pipeline, we publish artifact or files which needs to be deployed or published. So, in a CI pipeline, generally we doesn't do deployment, right?
No, we do. You're asking on the CI and CD steps, right?
Yes, yes.
We do deployments on the CI and CD steps as well. Like what in case if you have the next version of commits that you need to do? In that case, we need it, right? You have a team of development steps going on, and what in case if you have other team to do a commit operation? In that case, we have to do it from CI and CD only.
No, that is not my question, Abdul. So actually, my question related to functionality of CI and CD. So in a CI, you are adding the task ARM template deployment, which will do the ARM template deployment from your Visual Studio, which is checked into Git to the deployment to your Azure account, right?
Correct.
So
yeah.
My question is, deployment generally happens in CD pipeline. CI pipeline just publish the artifact or publish the right. So that's what my confusion is.
If it is on a ARM template stuff, it's right. But what I mean, if it's going to be like a group of deployments that you're going to do on a development phase, then we need it. I hope you're getting it. For infrastructure as code, your point is right.
Actually, because this ARM template deployment does the deployment on a resource group, like where you publish your subscription and all this thing. But general deployment happens in CD pipeline, not CI pipeline. This is my means.
You're right. You're right. So in that case, what happens is that you have to go here. You have to call the build operations on the CI and CD one. We don't do it on the ARM part, but here in this session one, I told you, no, it's gonna be like VNet trying to deploy. The entire tech work is going to be infrastructure as code. So for this, I'm using ARM template deployment that I need.
Okay.
Is that okay? Yeah.
Yeah, you can continue, Abdul. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So let's say resource group, and I will create a new resource group here. Let's say service principal to be automatic, to be created. I'll click on next. Okay, service connection name. I hope it's getting created. Yeah. Let's say DearAzure. Yes. See. Okay. Getting this.
Hi, Abdul. Sorry to interrupt.
Please.
Can you show us a demo on how to deploy on multiple servers using Azure DevOps?
We actually have one further session, so we'll be discussing that. Okay, the current session which we are working right now is set to be for infrastructure as code with the ARM template deployment. You can look the agenda; it's there on the event right. You can look the agenda there. We'll be covering that with multiple server deployment on further sessions.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
All right. No subscription. Let's try adding a new one. Service principal. You don't have an Azure. Hey, come on. Just hold on. I'll try logging in with a different account. Okay. So here, okay, let's go from this project itself. Okay, I have a project here. And let's go to the pipelines. See, we have already done one. So let me create a new project here. New project. AzureNinjas Tech Walk. Let's click on create. And here I'm gonna work on the repos. Okay, you can go to the files, you can find here. I'm going to clone it with Visual Studio. Can you find this? The Team Explorer is trying to connect. I'm just repeating with a new account due to two reasons. One is subscription, and the other reason is I want others to be on the same page since they had the screen lag and everything. It's getting loaded. I might be extending the session for some 5 minutes. I'm sorry for it, but I just want to make sure that I'll be making it clear for all of you. Okay, let it get loaded eventually. Let's go up here and I'll say pipelines and let's create a pipeline here. So create a pipeline using the classic editor. We are going to have it on the Azure repos Git. Let's click on continue. Let's create an empty job. Let's say ARM template deployment. Okay, let's say add. And here you can find it's going to create a resource group. Loading the server connections. Okay, can you find this? I have Azure Pass sponsorship. I'll select this and let's click on authorize to use this. Okay, so I'm selecting the subscription. See, you need to make sure that you have the permission, okay, service principal permission to select it. Probably, okay, let's check this. You need to be the admin for it. Yeah, so this subscription has been taken. And let's pick the same here, AzureNinjas subscription. And I'll say create or update a resource group. Okay, so for this point, I'll say create a new resource group, tech walk resource group. Okay, and the location is going to be at South India. It's not updated, right? AzureNinjas. Yeah, that's the subscription that I need. And resource group, let's say create a new resource group here. Or we can even use the same resource group. Okay, over here. Learn. And location, I'm going to put it at South India or Southeast Asia. Can you find this? Southeast Asia. And we have the template here, the linked artifacts, and you can call the template. So you can browse here, you can call the template that you need. You're going to use this, and you can click on OK. Okay, for this template one. It's still getting loaded. Just give me a moment. It has not committed, so it's taking a moment.
Hi Abdul, sorry for
Hi.
interrupting.
No problem.
This is Vasanta.
Hi,
I have a small query on this one. As a Azure DevOps guy, we are the responsible to create the ARM commit in the Visual Studio code or else Visual Studio.
You're asking whether the infrastructure management has to be taken care by the developer or what as such. Am I right?
Actually, as of now, whatever I know, as of now, we can, as a Azure DevOps guy, whatever the committed code in the Azure repo or else Git repo, from that we are creating the build pipelines and release pipelines, right? That is the responsibility of Azure DevOps guy.
No, no, not exactly. Azure DevOps that's what we were discussing. People, a point called as people. It's not only for the developers to do extraction with the CI and CD for the developers alone. Infra guys also need to work on the code environment. The future is all about developers need to know about infra management as well. That's why I showed you the slide saying that the DevOps environment will be taken care by infra people as well. Yeah.
Yeah, infra people will commit the code into Git repository. From that, as a Azure DevOps guy should create the pipelines, CI pipelines and CD pipelines.
You're right. You're right. Yeah.
Suppose if I want to learn the infrastructure, can you give the demo on in a practical manner? I mean, to create the virtual networks and virtual missions and storage accounts.
I can definitely do that.
As of now, we have 4 environments, right? Dev and QA and UAT and pod. For all these environments, we should create the virtual missions and virtual networks and storage accounts, and all these things. Whatever the NSGs and the CDNs, all these necessary information we should create, right?
Yes, Vasant. You're right. Actually, that's the expectation of this tech walk. So what I can actually do is that because I cannot make that one cup all of a sudden, so I will give you the heads up, right? I will give you some links and recordings where you can make sense about how it can be done. We don't have enough time to cover those things on the tech walk that we are planning for. So I'm really sorry about it, but I can give you the links from which you can make sense.
Yeah, if you have any proper link, can you forward it me? I will learn those things.
Just do one thing, Vasant. Post it on the Teams, right? We have this Teams channel. I am sure that you're a member of it. Please post it over there. We will either me or Kazim will take care of having the links to be shared over there.
Okay, thanks.
Hi Abdul, so can we get the recordings of the current session?
Sure, you will be getting it. I hope the event manager Kazim has already shared the YouTube channel link where we have the recording to be pushed across. You can find the recording there probably by the next 12 hours or 24.
Thank you.
Right, yeah. So let me go here for the Solution Explorer. I will say I'm going to create a new project now. So solutions, new solution. And let's say resource group. Okay, the same one about VNet. Say create. And a blank template. See, the repo was cloned successfully. Now we can find in the Solution Explorer, we have the code. And let's go to the resource. I'll add new resource. Let me say AzureNinjas VNet. I've added. So here we have. Now, see, I have added a VNet. I can go for the Team Explorer. I can see this has to be synchronized. Okay, so click on connect, and you can say we have this one which has been created. Okay, AzureNinjas Tech Walk. You can right click here, you can say clone, or you can say synchronized. So now let's say 12 changes are there. I'll click here to commit it. So commit for VNet. Commit all. See, the commit happens at the master, and you can find the changes here. Okay, it's happening at the master. And here is about
Is
the
there
change.
any, is there any specific yeah, is there any specific order to add the resources?
Sorry, specific? Oh,
Order.
No, nothing like that. It's up to you how you are planning it as such.
Okay. That was taken care by architecture, right?
Yes, the architects will do that. That's right.
Okay.
Let me refresh once. Now you can establish pipelines. Create pipeline with the classic editor. Well, the master. Can you find this? Master 1. And here also we have done the changes to the master 1. Okay. So go up here and say continue. The empty job. Let's add a template. So I can say deploy ARM template deployment. Add this. Let's use AzureNinjas subscription. I can select here. Resource group. Let's create a new resource group, or you can even call a new resource group here, existing resource group. So let's say Fero learn resource group.
So we can't see anything, Abdul, on our screen.
Oh, how about others?
Yes, we can see.
Same.
Yes.
We can see your screen. Now you are in ARM template.
Yes.
I can see the screen.
Yeah, you are adding location, right?
Yes, you're right. Yeah.
So now we can see, yeah.
Okay. So this is where you will give up the URL of the file. Okay, you can go, you can say the URL of the file to be called, and then you can try the deployment. So this is exactly how the pipeline gets worked. Okay, you can link the settings, and once when this is done, each and every time when you commit the operations here, it will get synchronized on your DevOps environment, on your Azure portal. Okay. So pipelines is ideally to establish the connection with the on-premise. So we have cloned the, I have cloned the VS, right? The project file. And when I say commit, the each and every time over here, it will create a VNet for me. Okay. So that's about the DevOps environment that you have from Visual Studio. I would say that take sense with this recording, you will get the recording. Okay, make sense about how the Visual Studio ARM template code has been designed, how the commit operations works as well with the ARM scripts, and check with the Azure portal how the template gets deployed as well. And then the next session, which we are going to join for the next one, no, it's going to be on containers. We'll speak about the components, deploying multiple servers in the containers environment. Okay.
Abdul,
If you have any questions, feel free to let me know.
Yeah, one question, Abdul. Actually, how we can get this ARM templates, blank ARM templates in Visual Studio?
You have to go for, let me show you from scratch. You click on File, New Project.
Yes, there will be in left side. It is a recent project templates.
Yeah, you search for Azure Resource Group, please. So search for Azure Resource Group, click on Next, and click on Create. Can you find this? You have blank template. So from here you can do it. I hope you're getting it.
Yes, resource group. Yeah, like we have to install prior. Actually, I have a Visual Studio. I'm trying to fetch that, but I'm unable to see that ARM template.
It depends on the version what you're using in the Visual Studio, basically.
If it is a Visual Studio code, does it work? I mean, does it show there?
I'm sorry, if it is?
I mean, Visual Studio code. Does it show these options there?
No, you will not get a UI like this. The UI of VS Code will be different.
Okay. So you mean to say we should to use only Visual Code, Visual Studio, sorry.
Okay, maybe. Yeah, you can try with VS, or I can even give the links. If you have VS Code, you can try with that. Normally,
VS Code doesn't show project options.
We don't get it. It's completely open source related. We have to give up the commands and then we create a project there.
When you use Visual Code, you
The
have
last
to
question.
download certain extensions.
Okay, got it.
Yes. Yeah, go ahead, please.
Abdul, last question. Yeah, we need the Visual Studio, the latest version of Visual Studio to get the ARM templates.
Of course, yes. It has to be updated. You need to have 20. I mean, not about the version of Visual Studio, but the updates that you have, the Azure SDK updates that you have. So you go here for the tools. You can find.
So there is something known as Azure workloads. So have an eye on that. They come up with many templates and all. They continuously update those templates. So if you
Actually, I'm trying to see this ARM templates in Visual Studio. I'm unable to see that. Is there any solution to get that ARM templates in Visual Studio?
Okay, I believe Feroz is showing that, like how from where you can get that.
Yeah.
Go to
tools.
While installing.
Okay.
While installing, you should select the ARM template extensions. You should install those things.
Yeah, I think Abdul is showing the options. Abdul, can you proceed with that?
Yeah, you first check for the updates that you have. You can click on tools and see get tools and features. There should be some updates for Visual Studio. See, it says that please update Visual Studio. This is one kind that you have to update the installer. Once when you do that, once after completing that, you have to go for extensions, and here you have to manage the extensions as well. So you're saying that you need for Azure SDK, right? You look for Azure, search for it, you can find it here.
Yeah.
So if
Thanks,
you need
Abdul.
for ARM, you can just look for ARM to be here.
Abdul, I have one question. So one of the example you have showed us like creating the private virtual network in ARM templates. So what would be the other various other tasks that we do from here?
You mean from Visual Studio?
Yes, I mean so one of the tasks that you said like creating the virtual network. Do we have anything else like from the DevOps perspective that we create any other task like that? I mean,
almost we have plenty of things like you can see like any projects that you create, we don't give the VS. I mean, people work from local, right? They have their laptops, they would be having the Visual Studio. So the projects that they create here, they will give file new. I'm just giving you for an example. Any project that you create here, down the line, you will go with your DevOps only. Let's say I'm going to create some .NET application, right? To commit this, I will go from the Visual Studio only.
That's
why we have taken up. VNet is that the tech walk has been planned for infrastructure as code. Okay, so that's the reason we are sticking towards it. But if you're a developer, you will go with any of these things, MVC application or any Angular applications that you have.
So from the infrastructure perspective, what do you think we have other stuff? Because I've been noticing, like I've been creating the .NET web applications in the same process, but in the infrastructure perspective, I don't I mean, like what would be the other things that we can do? That is my question.
Other than VNet, you have your service fabrics, you have container environments, container instance that we used to come across. You have virtual machines that we have, even load balancer, traffic manager, right? All these traffic routing services also works with Infra as a code.
Right. So is there something you have a document on it or like anything where we can do research to find out the infrastructure tasks that we can find out like?
I have few pilot documents with me. If you don't mind, just post a comment, right? You just start a thread on the Teams. The channel which we have started now. I can keep you posted over there.
My chat is disabled for some reason. Maybe I just joined with my.
Not exactly on the chat, but I hope you should be able to find Teams. Can you see my screen?
Yes, I can.
See, I have Azure DevOps learners here. You can find DearAzure and AzureNinjas, Azure DevOps learners. So here is the chat that we have posted, right? You can try writing here, and I will reply over the same.
Cool. Sounds good. Thanks.
Yeah, that's fine.
Abdul, how can I join the Teams page? I mean, is it by default we do, or something we need to do?
No, since you have joined now, right, for the meeting, I hope you should have already been there. I can see there's 346 guests over here. So I hope you should be there. But still, if you are not there, feel free to let us know. We will share our email ID in the chat now. You can write for DearAzure at CodeSizzler.info. Right.
I think the chart was disabled, Abdul.
Oh, is it? But you can find the email ID.
The chat is disabled. Yes.
Yes.
Can't able to see that.
Yeah.
You can see my screen.
Yes.
So write for DearAzure at CodeSizzler.info, asking you to be added up on the team, and we will make sure that you will be available on the teams as such.
Okay. And Feroz, I mean, just want to know, like since I'm new to DevOps community, I mean, understanding few basic things. So, I mean, to start from the infrastructure side, what are the things that I need to understand before attending these sessions? Is there a prerequisite that I should be knowing few things and then coming here so that I can connect the dots?
Okay, sure. I will probably give a shout on the with few links to understand about the infrastructure before joining the session for the next weekend. But as of now, you can just make sense. Like, please have a clear idea about virtual machines and container instances on Azure. These are the two things that you need to know for the entire tech work.
Okay.
Yeah, I will give you some links where you can make sense about the VNet, VM components and containers as well. There are a lot many recordings which are available with DearAzure channel itself already. You just post a thread over there, or I will even give a shout probably by tomorrow or by Monday on the Teams with a link. Okay, we have YouTube channel recordings of DearAzure where you can find the difference about between VM and containers, what a VNet VM is, what are the components of VM, what are the components of the entire infrastructure. So I will give you a heads up over there.
Okay. Thanks a lot.
Abdul, just you have to send a mail to the mail ID which you have sent to add us in a group.
Yes, you're right.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Cool. Any other?
Hi, Abdul.
Yeah.
I'm completely new to Azure. Like I'm background of .NET. Like in Azure, like we are having a different roles like Azure admin, Azure developer, Azure DevOps, like that. Like which one is like suitable for the developer? Basically, like a DevOps and developer is like both are like related to development only.
DevOps is not only related towards developers. DevOps is actually, like I showed you, people. No, it combines all sort of guys, any infra guy or any operations guy, anybody. They can be called under DevOps. So for you, I can say that you need to be a good developer with ARM templates. That's where cloud developer is supposed to be.
Okay. Like what type of certifications like we can do like from starting?
For starting you need to start with AZ 900, then you have to go with AZ 204 for developer track, and for DevOps you need to stick towards AZ 400.
Okay, like coming to AZ 300, it was related to like a
architect.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
sure.
that's completely architect one. I don't think that will be helping you out since you said you're a developer. You need to start your step 1 with 900, then move on to 400.
Okay, so would like to add here, like Sumant, if you go to that YouTube channel which I've already posted, it has a video about the Azure role-based certifications, which is again presented by Feroz. and there you will come to know all about the Azure certifications and for which roles they are all together out for. So that will help you to start your journey with Azure.
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
The CodeSizzler website, I mean the YouTube link, right?
It's available on DearAzure link. I would request Kazim to put it on the Teams channel.
Yeah.
Well, okay. I hope that was a good interaction, and thank you so much for spending your time with the late night, especially Indians, and on your weekend, of course. Thank you very much.
Thanks for your content, Feroz.
When will be the next
It was
session?
very nice. Thank you.
So the next session will be on next Saturday. We will be having 5 sessions, right? So today was the first, and all the next 4 will be on the coming Saturdays, same timing, and maybe the same link we can join. But we will surely drop a mail or we will notify you on the joining link.
Quick one.
I'm
If I need to go and check previous recordings, so is the website DearAzure.com or what's the website?
No, I was about to add the inputs on that. I'm sorry to interrupt. You please make sure that you'll be following DearAzure and AzureNinjas on Facebook, LinkedIn, right? And we both of us are available on LinkedIn as well and Facebook. You can search for Kazim Sheikh, or if you even Google for DearAzure, you can get it to know. And same me as well. I am available as Abdul Rasheed Feroz Khan, or you can even Google for CodeSizzler. You will get all details about me. So try following up us. We will put a shout by tomorrow. Probably you can expect an announcement from Kazim. He will give you the joining link. He will keep a post to be updated on LinkedIn and in Facebook, Twitter, and definitely on the Teams as well.
So I posted the link of that particular video in the chat, YouTube link for the Azure role-based certifications. And if you just try to scroll little bit up in that chat, you will get the channel link also. And there is one what we say, it can be announcement or a kind of prize, you can say. If you go to the session recordings, we will be asking you few questions, will be related to the topic itself, and we are giving out this book, that is Azure for .NET Core developers, to the winners. So have a night.
Yeah, I will please share the link of the contest.
So I think we are good to end.
Yeah, we are good. We have actually stretched over more time.
Okay, so thank you all for your time. Sorry for the extended time. Let's see you all
Thanks to
on
you
next
for
Saturday.
Feroz, just one question I have here. For DevOps. Hello.
Hello, I'm sorry.
Yes, for DevOps, what would be the right certification for Azure? Like exam.
Easy 400. Easy 400.
Easy 400. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Well, then thank you so much all. We'll meet you guys.
Thanks, Kasam. Thanks all. Bye.
Thank you, everyone, and please take care. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, Feroz. Bye-bye.
Thanks a lot.